Dear friends, today I am going to teach about the multi-computers and the related problems involving the cache memory, direct memory, and then pipelining. Then if virtual memory is involved, how the address is mapped with the main memory. So these are all the things we are going to see now. So first one, multi-computers. So multi-processors and multi-computers, how do they differ? In case of multi-processors, only one main processor and then remaining are processing elements which are controlled by the main processor. But in case of multi-computers, all are processors only, each having the separate memory for them. The multi-com, so that is shown in the diagram, message passing network P3, P1, P2, P3, P4. Each one is having their own memory space. And then multi-computers in computer organization refer to systems where multiple independent processors. So they are all separate processors, each with its own memory, communicate and cooperate to solve problems. And for this communicate and cooperate, so in the previous case for multi processors, they have global memory, that is a shared memory, but for this it is distributed memory, dedicated memory. And how the in the previous multi processors, how the communication between the processing elements happened through the interconnection network. But in case of processors, separate processors, the communication occurs due to the message passing network. This may due to, so even though they are private processors, if any data is needed by this processor, it cannot take from this P1. So if any data is required from processor 1, it cannot directly get the data from P1. It has to give request to message passing network and it will give the response from P1, and then through this network only it will get the data from P1. So in that manner, in coordination with one another, communication happens through the message passing network. These processes are connected via an interconnection network, typically employing message passing network. So it is passed over, so I will teach from this one. So next one, so already we told that distributed memory. So they have dedicated memory. That is why it is distributed memory. Each processor has its local has its own local memory, meaning it can only access its own memory directly. So in first I told you one example. Suppose P3 wants to have data from P1, it has to take over the guidance from the message passing network, message passing path. From that only it will take the data from other processor. Message passing. Processors communicate by sending and receiving messages, usually employing packet switching. So interconnection network, how it is working a network that allows processors to connect and communicate with each other. So it is acting as a mediator through which the two processors can communicate. And autonomous node, each processor acts as an independent unit. So every node has the processor. So if processor is available, then that location, that spot is known as uh, node with its own memory, CPU, and potentially IO devices. So IO devices for external device operation. Next one, scalability. Computers can be scaled by adding more nodes, making them suitable for complex and large scale computation. So large scale computation means single large task. If it has to be performed as early as possible, that means to increase the speed of the operation, we can increase the nodes. That means the number of nodes are increased, means each and every node the processors are located. So one processor means one node. Advantage of multi-computer scalability, easy to increase the number of processors, so the network can be expanded as per the desire. And memory, so processor means along with the memory, so no need to say separately processor and memory. Processor means along with its own memory. By adding nodes, cost effectiveness, generally cheaper and easier to build than multi-processors with shared memory. So when compared to multi-processor, multi-computers perform well because of the disadvantage to be overcome in case of multi-processor. That is why multi-computers are better. Flexibility can be used for wide variety of application, including scientific computing, database processing, and image processing. So disadvantage of multi-computers, communication overhead, because even processors are available, multi-computers, simply we can say the communication cannot happen directly. So we need to use definitely message passing network. So it is additional only. Normally computers means everything is done by its own. So no need to add extra items, extra devices. But even though multi-computers, here we are using the message passing network. So it is additional and it adds to the overhead of the system. Total system overhead is increased. Message passing can have higher latency compared to shared memory communication in multiprocessors. So, in case of multiprocessors, it is a shared memory, and here processing elements are provided. Means if it wants the data from shared memory, whatever the time taken by this processing element will be same for this processing element to take the data from main memory. Since they are all located at the same distance, each processor will have the data access at the uniform time, uniform speed. But here, depending on the processor's location, so in the network around which if we provide P1, P2 and P3, P4, if it is adjacent to one another, it will take less time using the message passing network. But suppose if the same multi-computer wants to have the data from this processor, then it has to travel through the process, through the network, and here, and the same is from here to here, so that depending on the location of the multi-computers, the speed at which data will be taken is different for different processors. It is not uniform. Next one, program complexity. Programming for multi-computers can be more challenging due to the need for explicit communication between processors. So, programming for multi-computers can be more challenging. Next one, lack of global address space. Processors cannot directly access each other's memory, requiring explicit communication mechanism. So, for urgent purpose, if it is required to complete a task as early as possible with a higher speed, it is not possible. The same procedure is followed for the simpler task as well as the complex task. Types of multi-computers. First one, clusters, the group of interconnected computers that cooperate to solve a problem. A group of computers within a region is known as multi-computers. Massively parallel processors, MPP, it is large-scale multi-computers with many processors. So, in the previous case, I mean that in the last slide, what we have seen only multi-computers, but within one computer, so many processing elements, n number of processing elements are used. Then it is the large scale multi-computer. It is known as a massively parallel processors. So in this case, large scale multi-computers with many processors often used for scientific simulation. So MPP means one computer. It is having many processing elements. Already we are seeing the topic about multi-computers. So all computers will have their own number of processing elements. That is massively parallel processors. And then comparison with multiprocessors. Multiprocessors share a single memory space, allowing processors to access each other's memory directly. So here in the shared memory, it is global memory, it is main memory. A part is given to several processing elements. So if processing element 3 needs some data from here, since it is available in the same memory, it can take this from here without the permission of PE1, because it is allocated to PE1. But even though it does not take the sole responsibility for this region, so it is also, it can take the data from here also without the permission of PE4. So this is what the advantage in the multi-processors. But in multi-computers, they have independent memories requiring explicit communication mechanism. So with the permission of the concerned processors only, it can take data from the other processors. So what are the interconnection networks? So in general, in computer architecture, the types of interconnection networks have been seen in the previous lecture video. So it is a refresh only. Bus, simple but limited bandwidth. It is a single line. It's a single conducting wire only, suitable for small number of processors. So it does not carry a large burst of data. And then crossbar, high bandwidth but expensive, suitable for small number of processors. If number of processors are less, then we can use the crossbar, because in crossbar, suppose if we are using bus only, the number of buses will be more. So if we are using crossbar for multiple number of processors, then the number of bus will be reduced. That is what the advantage when we are using the crossbar. And then hypercube. So in case of hypercube, depending on the number of data bits available, we can use the number of addressable memory locations. If it is 2 bits, then 2 power to 4 locations. If it is 3 locations, as in the case of hypercube, we can use 2 power 3, 8 number of address locations. So that is hypercube is a 3D form. And mesh. So in case of mesh, so mesh is a complicated structure, because suppose if we have 4 number of nodes, each one will have connection between others. If it is numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, then one will have the connection to 2, 3, 4. In the same way, if you take T, 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, sorry, 2 to 4, 2 to 1, only one connection only, not in opposite side. Already this is completed from 1 to 2. So that 2 to 1, we should not draw it again. And then if you take 3, 3 to 4, 3 to 1 already done, 3 to 2. In the same way, 4 means 4 to 1 already done, 4 to 2 already done, 4 to 3 already done. It is the mesh form. For the 4 nodes, it is looking simpler. Suppose if you are using 8 nodes, it will be looking very complex. That is why it is mesh. Mesh means complex, and each one will have the connectivity between one another. No connection will be lost. Two-dimensional network offering good scalability and connectivity. So good connectivity is the best reform in this case. Ring, so simple and cost effective but may have limited scalability. So ring means it will be available like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, but connectivity will be less, and it is in the forwarding direction only. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1, that's all. 1 to 2 only, 1 to 3, 1 to 4, it is not possible. So that is, it is called the ring connectivity, but connectivity, limited number of connectivity. Each one will not have with connection with another one. Only the next successive node it can contact. Multi-computers are a powerful architecture for parallel processing, offering scalability, cost effectiveness, and flexibility. However, they require careful consideration of communication overhead. So this overhead already we have seen in the usage of message path network, message passing network, and program complexity. So suitable for specific application. So very suitable. It is suitable for very specific application. Otherwise we can avoid using the multi computers. In all places we cannot use multiprocessors. So then problems regarding the regarding the pipelining. So in case of pipelining, first let us have one problem. So it is a scenario based I have formed. 4 washermen are soaping, scrubbing, rinsing and drying. So for doing wash, for performing the cloth washing, we need to do 4 work: soaping, soaping, scrubbing, rinsing, drying. But all are done by one person, it will take time. That is why the 4 men are involved to do the washing is separated into 4 phases. These 4 phases are handled by individual 4 washermen, so that it is called as pipelining one by one, and it is saving the time. How it is saving, how it is increasing the speed of factor, we will see in this problem. 4 washermen, okay, drying the clothes with a frequency of, so first one for soaping 22.22 megahertz, and second one scrubbing 33.33 megahertz, rinsing 22.22, and drying 12.5 megahertz respectively. And here one more thing we have to note: normally this work is done using the measurement of time only, but to confuse that, time is indicated in terms of frequency. So we have to compulsorily convert the frequency in terms of time. 1 by frequency equal to time. If the delay frequency between them is 50 megahertz, so actually we need to avoid delay. Why this delay is given? Why delay means, after completing the soaping only we can hand over that task to scrubbing. So in between handing over to scrub, it will take a small, very small amount of time delay. In the same way, After completely done, after completely this scrubbing is done, the entire work will be, I mean, the clothes under which processing, they will be given to the rinsing purpose. So in between a small amount of gap will be there for change over the task. So this time delay is equal to the frequency is given as 50 megahertz. Calculate the speed up factor. If you are not using, so actually it belongs to the problem of pipelining only. If you are not using pipelining, only one person is doing, what will be the time? If we are using the pipelining, what will be the time? If you take the ratio, then it will give the speed up factor. So let us convert this 22.22 megahertz into time of 1 by. So this is 1 by 1 by 1 by. This time delay also 1 by 50 megahertz we will change. So in the next slide 22.22 megahertz. So megahertz 10 power 6 time is equal to divided by. So 1 by frequency. So 1 by 22.22. So it is equal to 45 nanoseconds. Similarly, for 33.33 megahertz, it is converted as the time of 30 nanosecond. So another one same parameter. That is why no need to find out. The same thing is repeated here. 12.54 to 180 nanoseconds and delay of 50 megahertz is equal to 20 nanoseconds. Now, the question is to find out the speed up factor. Speed up equal to T without pipeline. Time without pipeline divided by time with pipeline. So time without pipeline means we need to take 40 all the time required for the each individual task. So 45 plus 30 plus 45 plus 80, the total time duration. It is the time without pipeline divided by, so divided by time with pipeline means one delay, final delay, one delay, and in addition to the total, I mean maximum time required for performing the task. Among these four tasks, the maximum time is 80 nanosecond. So within this 80 nanosecond, soaping, surfing, scrubbing, rinsing happened completely over within this time. That is why maximum time and one delay we have to add. So 80 nanoseconds in addition to the 20 nanoseconds. It is 100, it is 200. Therefore, 200 by 100, it is speed factor is 2. So whatever the time taken by the task without time, without pipelining will be 2 times higher than the time taken for performing the task with the pipelining. So with the pipelining means we can increase the speed of the task. We are increasing the speed of the task means we are saving the time. That is what the meaning here. Next one, in the following direct map catch, determine the size of the first field, identify the field of the machine. So in this case, first field is tag field. So in the question, what they have given 512 lines, 32 byte blocks, the total is byte addressable memory. The size is 2 power 32. So first field, the name we have to mention. So normally, the total number of bit equal to 32 because 32 byte addressable memory. So log to the base 2, the formula is log 2 and the byte addressable memory is 2 power 32. So log to the base 2 equal to 1. So it is equal to 32 bits. 32 bits. 32 bits. That is what here written. And line number in the second field, line number, it is 512. So 512, it is converted into 2 power 9. So once again, log 2 power 9 is 9 bits. So only thing, size of the field is given, but we have to convert to the number of bits it can store in one line. We have to do. And then block offset, third field is block offset. Block offset equal to 2 power 5, which is equal to 2 power 5, log 2 power 5, it is equal to 5 bits. So tag field, so first field is tag field, total is 32 minus, and in addition to 9 plus 5. So 9 plus 5, 14. 32 minus 14, 18. So this is the tag field size, 18 bits. So in this way, the direct address memory with the cache memory is mapped. And then second problem, next one, a communication engineer is shifting the train of bits of zeros and ones in the data B3 hex. Normally, it will accept the data in hexadecimal form. So, B3 hex with the carry bit 0. So, we need to perform the shift operation with the carry to get us ACH with the carry of 1. So final solution, after having been shifting, after having performing so many shifts in B3 data, either left or right, that we need to find out. How many shifts we have to perform, that also we need to find out. So finally, we have to get the solution ACH. Output is AC hexadecimal with a carry of 1. Bring the solution manually to analyze the number of steps to do in particular direction. So left or right, we have to find out. How many shift, that also we have to find out. So what will happen? Rotate left. So rotate left means it is not ordinary shift. Rotation is otherwise called as circular shift. So indirectly in the question given as shift operation only, not rotate operation. So we have to find out rotate. We have to know that rotation is nothing but circular shift operation. So rotate left with carry 7 times, with carry 7 times. So after after so many trials we have done. So what is B3? B equal to 11. So 11 equivalent 1011. And then 3 is equal 3 equivalent to 11. So 0011. And then carry is 0 already given in the question. So let us start the rotate and rotate in the left direction. So carry, LSB is coming to carry. LSB replaces the carry. And then carry goes to MSB. And this is the first rotate operation. In the second, the same thing, carry, LSB comes to carry position, and then carry comes to MSB. So this is the second. So even though we are not getting ACH, so we will continue rotation third time. So it is 1, carry is 1, and then 10011010. So next one, fourth shift, MSB comes to location, carry location, and then 0011, 01011, carry 1. So in the fifth rotation, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1 with a carry of 0. Sixth time with a carry of 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, double 1, 0. In the seventh position, carry 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, it is equal to 10. But in ASCII character, it has to be written as A alphabet, and then 1, 1, 0, 0, it is equal to 12, and it is written as C ASCII character, ACH. Next problem, convert 20H to 02H using shift operation. How many shifts may be performed to get the solution? Normally in the rotation operation, the bits will not be lost. The originality of the data will be retained. But in case of shift operation, the originality of the bits will be lost after shifting. How many times you are shifting? Suppose if you are performing 2 times shift operation, 2 bits will be lost, and either they are LSB or MSB. It is depending on the direction in which shift operation is done. If it is right operation or left operation, depending on the direction, 2 LSB or 2 MSB. For 3 operations, 3 shifts, 3 LSB or 3 MSB, bits will be lost. So it will be replaced by 0. N number of shift will replace n number of zeros. Here, 4 right shifts are performed for getting 0, 2. And the application is 20 by 10. It is equal to 2. So for division or multiplication process, we are doing the shift operation. We can ask why we are doing the shift operation. In case in communication, for data transmission, for simpler arithmetic operation, multiplication or division, these shift operations will be performed. So here 20 equivalent 0010 0000. It is 20 hexadecimal. By doing the first shift right, we may get 0001 or 0000 because LSB will be lost. In the second shift, we are getting 00001000. It is the equivalent of 08. The previous one 10H, and in the second shift 08H. In the third shift 00000100. It is the equivalent of 4. So 04H. In the fourth shift 00000010. So it is the equivalent for 2. So 02H. So after shifting 4 operations, after shifting the number in 4 times, we are converting the 20H to 02H. That means division process. Next one, catch. So in case of cache memory, cache is wide addressable and the main memory size is 16 gigabyte. The block size is given 16 gigabyte. Number of tag bits, that is first field of the frame, it is equal to 10 bits. Now the question is to find out the cache size. Now how to find out? From this problem question, main memory size is equal to 16 GB and it has to be converted into byte. To convert in log to the base 2 power, so that we can get the number of bits available in the field. So we cannot write in terms of 2 power 34 or 2 power 20. So we need to convert in terms of bits. So 16 it is equal to 2 power 4. 1 gigabyte equal to 2 power 30. So 2 power 4 into 2 power 30 addition in powers are added. So 2 power 32. If you convert log 2 power 2 power 34, it is simply equal to 34 bits, which is equal to the number of main memory PA. So PA is nothing but physical address bits. So physical address bits, it is equal to 34. And the block size is given as 16 KB. 16 once again can be written as 2 power 4 and 1 KB equal to 2 power 10, that is 1024 bits. So powers are added, 2 power 4 plus 10 to power 14. It has to be converted into number of bits. Therefore, log 2 power log to the base 2 power 14 equal to 14 bits. And one more thing here, the formula is block size is equal to. So block size is available and represented in case of main memory, and it is to be mapped with the cache memory whenever most frequently accessible data is taken from cache. So the address of the cache will be mentioned in smaller number of bits, because cache memory is very small, but main memory is very large single module, but the address of the data should be mapped to the cache memory location. So block size of the main memory, it is equal to line size of the cache memory. Both are equal, then only the corresponding data will be taken from the cache memory. Therefore, block offset is equal to log to the base 2 power 14, which is equal to 14 bits only. So the diagram is total is 34. Byte addressable memory, the number of bit is equal to 34. And the first one is tag field. It is given as 10 bits. And this is a line and this is block offset. Block offset we have already found calculated as 14 bits in the previous slide. So total 34 minus 10 plus 14 is equal to 34 minus 24. It is equal to 10, and this 10 is number of lines in cache. Here it is mentioned as 2 power 10. Number of lines in cache equal to, it is formula cache size divided by line size. Therefore, from this formula, we need to have cache size. It is equal to number of lines in cache multiplied by line size. So both we have already determined 2 power 4 into 2 power 10, 2 power 24. So 2 power 24 means it is split into 2 power 4 into 2 power 20. 2 power 4 we know that it is 16 and 2 power 20 it is megabit. So next one, tag directory. So why do we use a tag directory? It keeps primarily the record of tag bits and number of lines in the cache. Here, to represent the operation of the tag directory, the small diagram is drawn here from processor. It is having the access to the cache memory. So cache memory to processor. But from processor, whatever the address to be mapped, it has to go to the tag directory. That is why arrow mark is shown from processor to tag directory, and from tag directory it has to come to cache memory. From cache memory, main memory of the processor is mapped with the address. Here it is given tag total is 32 and tag and line. So we have already found out tag is 12 and total is 20. So it is split into 12 and 10 and block offset is we have found out 12. So number of line in catch equal to 2 power 8. So 8 bit means we have to represent in 2 power in terms of 2 power 8. Tag bit already we know that it is 12. So tag directory size is equal to 2 power 8 into 12. So 3072 bits is the tag directory size. Next one, once again regarding the cache memory, we have to find out the one calculation what is the number of tag bits. In main memory, the capacity is given as 256 megabyte. 256 is equivalent to 2 power 8. 1 megabyte equal to 2 power. So, cache size is equal to 512 kilobyte means 512 is nothing but the 2 power 9 and 1 kilobyte equivalent we have to multiply. Here also 1 megabyte equivalent we have to write down. And block size is equal to 2 power 256 byte only. And word size is equal to 1 byte only. Here we need to calculate number of tag bits. So main memory size is equal to 256 megabyte. 256 is equal to 2 power 8. 1 megabyte equal to 2 power 20. So 2 power 28. Cache size is equal to 2 power 9 into kilobyte equal to 2 power 10. So 2 power 19. And then block size 2 power 256. It is equal to 2 power 8 only. So it is equal to line size. It is the formula. So whenever we are mapping the cache and main memory, we need to use the formula block size is equal to line size. Then only the corresponding data will be taken from the respective memory location. Not from it should not take the data from other incorrect memory location. And then block offset equal to already we found out 2 power 8. So log to the base 2 power 8 bits. Number of line in cache is equal to formula cache size divided by line size. It is equal to we have already calculated 2 power 19 divided by 2 power 8. It is equal to 2 power 11 and we have to convert it into number of bits using the formula line number bit equal to log to the base 2 power 11 which is equal to 11 bits only. Next one, how do we map the addresses of main memory and cache memory? So here, in a byte addressable main memory size is 4 gigabyte. Cache memory size is equal to 1 megabyte. Block size 4 kilobyte. Word size 1 byte. The question is to find out physical address, how the address is split into number of bits. And second one, tag directory size. So we already know what is the purpose of directory size, tag directory. So in this case, from the given data, main memory size is equal to 4 gigabyte. 4 is equal to 2 power 2 and then gigabyte is converted as 2 power 30. So that we are getting 2 power 32 bytes. In the same way, number of main memory physical address bits, it is equal to log to the base 2 power 32. So total field length is equal to 32 bits. And then block size, which is otherwise equal to line size, it is equal to 4 kilobyte 2 power 2 into. So 1 kilobyte equal to 1024 bit, it is equal to 2 power 10. It is what? So totally 2 power 12 bytes. Therefore, block offset for it is common for. So block offset is same for main memory as well as cache memory. It is equal to log to the base 2 2 power 12. It is equal to 12 bit. So whenever we are using block offset for cache memory, we need to use the same 12 bit answer only. So no need to calculate again. Number of block in main memory is equal to main memory divided by block size. Memory size already we know 2 power 32. Block size also we have calculated 2 power 12. So 32 minus 12, 2 power 20. Therefore, block number bits in index field. The index field is the first field of main memory, but in cache memory, this index field is divided into two. So in cache memory, there are two fields in case of index field, so that the memory address has to be mapped. So for that only memory is mapped, otherwise main memory and cache memory both are equal, no mapping will be required. So here it is equal to log to the base to 2 power 20, it is equal to 20. Block number of bit. So this 20, how it is divided into 2, that we have to see. So total byte address is equal to 32, and now the first split we have found out now, it is equal to 20 and 12. And while using cache memory, how this 20 index field is divided into 2. So first in the question they gave total field length is 32. And in the first step it has to be divided into 2. How it is divided in case of main memory? First one is 20 and then 12. But in the third step we are using cache memory. In the cache memory the first field 20 is divided into two fields. Now this 20 bit is divided into 2. What is the formula we are going to use? So in case of cache size, so definitely to split into 2 we have to use cache memory. So cache memory size is in the 1 megabyte, already it is given in the question itself. So 1 into 2 power 20, 2 power 25. Number of line in cache, it is equal to 2 power 20 divided by 2 power 12. It is equal to formula cache size by line size. Cache size here we have 2 power 20. Line size we have already found in the main memory. That is same for cache memory. I have already told you that the same answer should be used here also. Therefore, no need to find out again. So, therefore, line number bit equal to log to the base to 2 power 8. It is equal to 8 bits alone. Now, this 20, how it is divided? We have found out this index field of the cache memory is equal to 8. Then, target field it is easy to find out. From the total we need to subtract the remaining fields. From the total 32 you subtract the remaining 2. 32 minus 12 plus 8, so remaining the answer is giving the tag field bits. That's all, it is easy only. Next one, so in general, so after seeing this problems, we can come to an idea that how the main memory is split into, how the cache memory is split into. So what are the fields available in the main memory address? First field is index field, second field is block offset. And what do they represent? Index field means it is block number. So already we know that in the memory, one bit by one bit we do not send or store. A block of data, a block of bits will be stored, and one word, it is not one word, so many words are overlapped, I mean located, superimposed on one another. So a block of data will be communicated. If one word by one word means communication will become hectic. So a block of data will be sent. That is why here block number is indicated. It is nothing but bits divided by the total number of bits divided by location of the block. So it is almost representing location of word by words in memory block, and then it is block size divided by block offset bits. So number one, in the cache memory, this index field is divided into two. Tag field in general, and the second one is once again the index field for the cache memory. But in case of main memory, only index field. So index field in this case tag field, and second field is line number bits for cache memory. It is of equal to k bits, and third one line offset, it is n bit. Yeah, but in general this field is offset, but when it comes to the main memory it is block offset. When it is set for the cache memory, it is line offset, it is not block offset. So normally tag field identifies which memory block is currently occupying cache line. So this is mapped to what data is mapped to. The address of the what data is mapped to, that details will be held in the tag field. And second one index field, it is cache line number which is otherwise stated as which cache line the data is placed upon. And the next one, a particular block also, the mapping, okay, we have some problems, okay. We have seen some problems, but visually how the mapping is done, we are going to see. First one, a particular block of main memory can map to only one particular line of cache. That is, one address of the one data will be mapped at a time, because cache memory will not store all the data available in the main memory. Whatever the data is currently under use, that address of the data will be stored in the cache memory. That is what the meaning here. And next one, so it is main memory address, and this is main memory, how the words are stored. So here we know that the 4-bit representation 0 up to 15, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, that we know how to write the equivalent from 0 to 15. So 15 means all 1, 1, 1, 1. That's all. F. Okay, F. Next one, so one by one we have mapped 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that we have mapped up to 15. Next one, cache memory. So in the cache memory, see the size of the main memory and cache memory. It is very, very small. It is 64 bits. It is only 16 words. It is storing 64 words. It is storing 16 words only. And the index is 0, 1, 2, 3 only, because all location is split into 4. So here 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. This is equivalent. And then here we have written how it is mapped. See, 0, 0. When the first word is 0, 0. First bit is 0, 0. So wherever we have 0, 0 in the main memory address, all the 4 address are mapped to the cache. See, very easy. It is 0, 0. So in 4 places we can see 0, 0. First one 0, and in the second 0, 0, fourth memory address. And in the third 0, 0, we see 8th memory address, and in the fourth one, it is 12. So these are all mapped to the 0, 0, 0, and then 4, and then 8, and then 12. All these are mapped to the 0, 0. In the same in the same in the same way, we need to map for 0 1 all four addresses to the second word address 1, and then 1 0 all four main memory address to the four splits of the cache memory number 2, and then for 1 1 all four main memory address are mapped to the four location of the third address of the cache memory. So now, splitting of the physical address we have already calculated in the problem. So from that we are concluding how to split the memory physical address. So total 6 bits. How it is divided into? First, in case of, because main memory no need to have any confusion. It is easy only index field and block field. But in cache memory we do have three field. One individual. I mean it is different, very different field: tag field and index field and block offset. So now we need to concentrate on the tag field only. That is why here first one is tag along with the line number in the cache is known as block number, and in the second case block per block or line offset. So block offset is for main memory, line offset is for cache memory. In general, it is offset field only. So total 6 means it is divided into 2, 2, 2. Why 2, 2, 2, 2? Because already given total word equal to 64. 64 is formed as 2 power 6. So total field length is 6 bit length. Because how to convert into bits from 2 power 6 log to the base to 2 power 6. In the same way, block size 4 it is given in the question. It is framed as 2 power 2 bits. In the same way, total line number it is equal to 4 given. 2 power 2 means 2. So total number of line equal to block, and then total block equal to 16, 2 power 4. So 4 means 4 bits. So this 4, block number this 4 is divided into tag 2, line number 2. So it is given in the small table block number 0, 0, because already mapping we have seen in the previous slide. So from the bottom we have to talk to go up. So in the small table I have written as 0, 0, 0, 0 and then 1 and then 2. So it is, they are all, the first 2 bits are called as tag field and second 2 bits are called as line number field. 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. That's all. So next, how it is mapped. For example, for tag 0, already we know that how to write 0 to 15. 0 to 15, how to frame, how to write the equivalent using 4 bits. The same thing I have written, and I have already told you in the previous slide. First 2 bits are known as tag field, and second 2 bits are known as line, and all together these two together forming block number. It is main memory, it has to be main memory, it has to be mapped to the cache memory. So first one is tag. So in the previous slide also we have seen main memory 64 means 64 words means the cache memory will store only 16 bits divided by 4 times it is smaller. So 16 words each, and why 16 words? Each field is divided into 4 split up. So 4 into 4 16. So here tag field this is 0. So 16 4 means we need to write 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. That's all. It is given as tag number 00110101. So here data is given. What is the data? Normally the catch is 0123. We have to, we know 4 field means 0123. So how will you frame the equivalent? 0001 and 2 is 10, 3 is 11. Example, physical address tag is 00, line number next to two number 00, and block offset the last two numbers, 2 bits. So how in this way the physical address is split into. So already default we know line number 00011011. Default, it is default. How it is in numbered 0123. This number is given here, the line number, and then this 00 where it is, this is tag, the main memory tag is 00 and this is mapped here, and then one of the catch memory, it is searched in the tag field of the main memory, it is found here. That is why the 01 is mapped here. In the same way, 01 of the cache memory is searched in the main memory. Where is it? It is 01 here, and this 10 is taken away and mapped to the third field. Finally, this 01 is already once again found here, searched here. In case of main memory, it is here 01 and this 1 is given here, mapped here. But here one confusion, this is 011, 01 means this 11 should be equivalent, because one more space we have 01 and this 00 should not be mapped, because the line number 11 should be matched. So wherever you find 01, you cannot map to the cache memory, but the line field should be matched, then only you can map. So this 01 will have 11 means this 01 will have 11. But here 00, that is wrong. But it is 11 means this 11 will be mapped. So after this mapping of the, we have seen the problems in case of virtual memory, how the addresses are mapped, and then pipelining, how we are saving the time by increasing the speed, and then direct memory access. These are all the cases in which we have seen the problems. Thank you all.